friends, how are you? So today's topic of our discussion is capacitance. It's very important, either from board perspective or from JE perspective. It's a very important topic. Now, capacitance, when the word comes, okay, exactly from electrical perspective, if I'm saying when this word comes to your mind, capacitor is the word you might have heard many times, you might have used in day-to-day life. Where we see capacitor, there are capacitors in a fan, right? Okay, there are capacitor in fan. In your mobile also there are capacitors. So capacitors basically is used to overcome the inertia. So for example, in a fan, it has no role in rotating the fan continuously. However, when it was at rest, when you switch on the fan to make it move, capacitor's role comes into picture. And how exactly the design part we'll see later. But however, what I want to say is capacitor is a very common electrical device which is used most of the times. Now capacitor, you from your earlier classes you might have heard resistors. Resistor is that which provides a little resistance to electric current. This is the definition we have read from earlier classes. Then like that there are capacitors. Symbol of a capacitor is this, a resistor. This is capacitor. Going further, there is another electrical device called inductor. We will be studying that later. However, not making it bookish, first we are trying to understand what capacitance is. Now to understand what capacitance is, we should understand what capacity is. Capacity, because it is the same thing when we said in electrical language, capacitance word is used. Now what is a capacity? See, suppose we are having a bottle, okay. This bottle is of a capacity 1 liter, let us say. We say the capacity of the bottle is 1 liter. What does it mean? If we pour water or some liquid into it, then it will be able to accommodate 1 liter of that liquid in it. And after that, if we will go on pouring, water will spill out, right? Water will spill out. It cannot accommodate more than 1 liter. That's why the 1 liter is called the capacity of the bottle. Now understand, when the bottle was empty, you started pouring water into it. When you started pouring water into it, then what happens? I'm saying water, the same is applicable to any liquid. Now the height of the level of water, or a height level of water, is increasing, yes or no? If with the water you are pouring, let us say that's the quantity of water you are pouring. If quantity of water you are pouring, what is increasing? Quantity of water you are pouring, what is increasing? That is the level of water. And level means basically what is the height of water is increasing. So can we say that the quantity of water is directly proportional to level? Because if a quantity is increasing, level is increasing. Quantity is less, level also is less. Level or height, we can say. It is very simple to understand, right? Now from this we will derive an analogy. This is one mathematical analogy of a capacitance. Now electrically speaking, any body is there, to that if some charge is supplied, this we are familiar with, charge, and we are defining that as Q, right? Coincidentally, quantity of water also we said we can take it as a Q. Anyway, if a charge is supplied to a body, then let us say plus Q charge is supplied to a body, then the charges are coming here, but every body is having a certain capacity, and more than that charge, if it is supplied to it, that charge will be spilled out to the surroundings. That means atmosphere, air, or whatever is there, to that this extra additional charge, which is more than the capacity, how much the body can hold, if more charge is given, then it spills out to the environment. As simple as that. Now, it is seen that the charge given to a body Now, capacitance is a property generally that is developed by giving it to a conductor. So we can say it that let us make it a habit of saying conductor, conductor instead of a body, or let us make it more general. Charge given to a body is directly proportional to the potential of the body. What is potential? We have understood now. Okay, if Q is directly proportional to V, Q is equal to some constant of proportionality into V. And this constant of a proportionality is called capacitance of the body. This constant of a proportionality is given a name capacitance of a body. Or from there what we can conclude that C is equal to Q by V. So capacitance is mathematically the charge of the body divided by the potential of the body. So C is equal to Q by V. Now you tell me simply what's the unit of a capacitance? Q, charge is measured in a coulomb. V, potential you know measured in a volt. So 1 coulomb per 1 volt is 1 watt. Either we can say coulomb per volt all the time, or 1 coulomb per volt is called as 1 farad. Farad is equal to 1 coulomb by 1 volt. I am sorry, 1 volt. Okay. So instead of saying this coulomb per volt, we will say now onwards farad. But farad is not a practical unit. In actuality, in coming numericals also you will see we will be talking of 1.5 microfarad, 2 microfarad, like that. So farad is not a practical unit. So practical unit is microfarad. Symbol of that is micro mu f, which is 10 to the power minus 6 farad. And another practical unit is picofarad. Picofarad. And the symbol of that is mu f. That is microfarad is called picofarad. 10 to the power minus 12 farad. So this is the unit. Now, whenever we understand a quantity, our next task always is to understand its unit and dimension. I said you already that even if we discuss a new quantity, physical quantity, of which unit and dimension is not discussed by the teacher, still you always will be having a habit of calculating yourself what's the unit, what's the dimension, what's the unit, what's the dimension. So unit, here also we read one quantity called capacitance, right? What's the unit of capacitance? What's the dimension of a capacitance? What's the unit? Simply we have this formula, right? C is equal to Q by V. So that we discussed already. So farad is the unit of a capacitance, where this is Q by coulomb per volt. So farad is the unit. Okay, and that we have discussed already. This is not a practical unit. So microfarad is a practical unit. So mu f or picofarad we discussed. This is 10 to the minus 6 farad, 10 to the minus 12 farad. Then the symbol of farad is F. What is the dimension? Now we are familiar with W is equal to VQ. We are familiar with this formula, right? From last chapter. Here, what we can say, Faraday, now this capacitance, we have that this is equal to Q by V. But V is equal to W by Q from it. W by Q. Now this is equal to Q divided by, for V we can write a W by Q. This Q goes up. So Q square by W, right? Now if we will say this, Q is what? Coulomb square. Coulomb square per, then what is the W? It's a work done is equal to force into distance. Force is a Newton and the displacement is a meter. So Coulomb square per Newton meter. So this also can be one unit of a coulomb, unit of capacitance, right? So unit of capacitance you can say farad, you can say coulomb per volt, you can also say coulomb square per Newton meter. Coulomb square per Newton meter, like this also you can say. But the thing is, 1 coulomb square per Newton meter square is one again called 1 farad, and that only, instead of saying all coulomb square per Newton meter always we are saying farad. So we can say this way, Farad also 1 unit, we can say Coulomb per volt also is 1 unit, we can, but what we will say is the unit of capacitance is Farad. This is globally accepted, you think like that. Now what's the dimension when we are calculating Coulomb square per Newton meter square? So what is the dimension of capacitance? Now here one thing let us mention, that you remember all the dimensions we were expressing in terms of mass, length and time as far as the mechanics part of physics were concerned. But there are certain parts in 7 units we had discussed regarding the fundamental units, fundamental quantities, basic quantities we call, not derived ones. There we had defined mass, length, time, ampere. For current we had discussed. What is current? See, for current electricity we are having a different chapter and we will be discussing everything in a detail. But now here a little knowledge giving is very important. That's why I am saying over here. See, whenever the charge flows in a conductor, the rate at which the charge is flowing is called electric current, and the symbol of electric current is I. Electric current is I, and from this what we conclude that the charge is equal to current multiplied by time. Okay, now current multiplied by time. So what is the dimension of a charge? So current is in ampere and time is of course in time, so AT. So for wherever Q comes, as far as the dimension is concerned, it's this visible, right? Wherever dimension of a Q comes, we will put it as AT, ampere second. Okay. So Coulomb square. So we can write it as A square T square divided by. Why we did this, right? Why I said this thing? Because ampere is something which is neither mass nor a length nor time. It is not coming between L and T. It is something extra. That's why A I wrote. A is the symbol. The dimensionally it is written for a current. Now Newton meter. Newton is a force. So this is M L T minus 2, and meter of course is the length. Right. So together what is the dimension? M to the power minus 1. See, this is L square, and it goes up L to the power minus 2. T square was there, this will go up, this is T to the minus 2 in denominator, so it becomes T square again. So T4 and A square. This is the dimension of capacitance. Clear? Our next topic is capacitance of a spherical conductor. Now imagine one conductor, spherical conductor. Let us say O is the center where Q charge is there. Okay, and let us say the radius of the spherical shape is R. Radius of the spherical conductor is R. Then what is the capacitance of this conductor? C is equal to Q by V. Simple. But we have already learned what is V. What is the V formula? Somebody will say V is equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught Q by R. This was the formula of a V, right? So put this V here, Q divided by, put this here from V, 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught Q by R. Now this Q got cancelled with this Q, and this is in denominator, this goes up, is equal to 4 pi epsilon naught R. Therefore the capacitance is equal to 4 pi epsilon naught R. This is the capacitance of a spherical capacitor. From here what you can conclude, 4 pi epsilon naught is a constant part, right? So capacitance only depends on the radius of a spherical capacitor. Our spherical capacitor, if we are talking of a capacitance, capacitance will be more and more if the radius is more and more. That means radius has to be increased to get better capacitance of the conductor, right? Now how? So capacitor's space occupied by the capacitor will be bigger and bigger and bigger. Now let us see the next topic, or sometimes it comes in 1 mark. What is the capacitance of Earth? Earth itself is a conductor and it's a huge, right? And so capacitance of Earth itself, if I am writing C Earth, the capacitance of Earth is equal to 4 pi epsilon naught multiplied by, instead of this small r, the radius of Earth will come, right? Where R is the radius of Earth, which is equal to 64,000 kilometers. So another 3 zeros, meters, right? So when you put all the values of this value and that value, that comes nearly 709 microfarad. Now see, that means 709 into 10 to the minus 6 farad. To get this much capacity only, we have to take one capacitor as huge as the Earth itself. So radius has to be so high, then we get this much capacity only. So it must be clear that the spherical shape of a capacitor will not satisfy our need, because what we want some kind of arrangement where capacity will be more, but the space occupied by that by the capacitor should be very less as possible, as small as possible. Now if you open up a fan and take out the capacitor, that will be of this much size only, right? A cylindrical shape, this much size only it will be. Okay, so as I said you, inside a mobile also there's a capacitor. So in very many gadgets we are having capacitors. So capacitors must be very small in size so that it can fit into the gadget whatever we like. So but it should be having good capacitance whatever is desired. Now we cannot think of so huge capacitors which will be totally useless from practical perspective. Now that is the reason comes the need of designing a capacitor. What type of capacitor we can design? In fact, we are having parallel plate capacitors, we are having cylindrical capacitors, we are having spherical capacitors. There are all the things, but in NCERT syllabus, in your board syllabus, we will be covering in detail the parallel plate capacitor only. There will be 2 plates and we are seeing the details of that. So our next topic is capacitance of a parallel plate capacitor. Now suppose we are having a parallel plate. Now what is a parallel plate capacitor? We are understanding step by step. Let us say you remember what is the electric field due to a infinitely large flat sheet of a charge density with charge density sigma. Let us say it is one example only, plus sigma is the charge density of the infinitely large sheet. And you remember there we calculated at any point P what is the electric field intensity at point P due to this large sheet. We had calculated taking one cylinder as the Gaussian surfaces, that a cylinder contained the P. You remember? Okay, just to give you one remembers, I am just drawing some sheet like this. One cylinder we had taken like this. What is the distance of the point P from the sheet? If it is R, this side also it was R, we had taken this, and from that what we had derived finally, that the electric field intensity at the point P is equal to sigma by 2 epsilon naught. We had derived that, you remember. Now if near to that we are imagining 2 plates, 2 parallel plates like this. This is another parallel plate. Then what happens? Still we are not coming to the capacitor part. Understand, that is, understand where from this capacitor concept came. Now if you are looking from this side, your eyes are from this side, okay? If you are looking from this side, these capacitor plates will look like a straight line, right? So I am showing that view. Let us say this is one plate, this is one plate. This gap is very small, just to make you understand I am showing this much big. Let us say this is plus sigma and this is given minus sigma. One plate is charged plus and one plate is charged with equal amount of negative charge. Okay. Then what will happen? Now you imagine a unit positive charge here, your P. You imagine that P here. What will happen? This plate is positively charged and this plate is negatively charged. Now this entire positive plate will push P, right? And the entire negative plate will pull P, right? Now due to this P, due to the E is epsilon by 2, sigma by 2 epsilon naught. This was the electric field intensity due to one plate. So due to plate, this plate, instead of saying this, let me take some names. So this is plate A, plate B. Due to plate A, there will be a push which is equal to E. Due to plate B, also there will be pull with the same force on a unit positive charge, that also is E. So by net, P will be going from A to B in this direction with the E plus E, 2E force, right? So what is the force on P? E net is equal to E plus E, 2E, that is 2 times sigma by epsilon naught, or simply sigma by 2 epsilon naught, or simply 2 got cancelled, sigma by epsilon naught, right? E will be sigma by 2 epsilon naught. Now this idea is used to develop a parallel plate capacitor. Okay. Now this plus minus charge are given. Then we will be calculating the parallel plate capacitor. Then we'll discuss a little how that is charged that way. Okay. So let us say there is a parallel plate capacitor. This side is positively charged, this side is negatively charged. Okay. Then let us say the surface area of the parallel plates are A, and the gap between the parallel plates is equal to small d. Okay. Now we are going to calculate the capacitance of a parallel plate capacitor. We are going to calculate the capacitance. Now C. Okay, we are going to calculate C is equal to Q, whatever charge is given. Let us say plus Q, here minus Q is given. So Q by V. V is the potential of the capacitance. This we know. Now V is the potential of the capacitor. Now what we should understand of this capacitor? C is the capacitance, V is the potential. But what do you mean by potential of a capacitor? If you move a unit positive charge from one plate to another plate, how much work will be done is called the potential of the capacitor. In different words, the potential difference between the plates of a parallel plate capacitor is called potential of the capacitor. And what is called charge of the capacitor? See, here plus Q and minus Q are given. Let us take a plus capital Q minus capital Q. So here plus Q and minus Q charge are given. But if you see the whole charge of the parallel plate capacitor is equal to plus Q plus minus Q is 0 only. So the capacitor completely, the capacitor as a whole system is neutral only, but it is always said what is the charge of the capacitor? It is said Q. That means the charge on the positive plate of a capacitor is called the charge on the capacitor. That is the convention. Okay, is equal to dV by dr. That is, the potential gradient is numerically same as the electric field intensity. This also we have learned from last class. Now some of you might be thinking that it was negative of a potential gradient is equal to electric field intensity. You are right, it's negative. But negative is what? It's just about a direction, right? But the magnitude is same as E is equal to dV by dr. We are talking of the magnitudes now. Okay. So implies that dV is equal to EdR, right? Implies that what is the V, the potential of the capacitor? Potential of the capacitor is nothing but the dV was the gap in the capacitor. So V is the integration of that from here to here. If you move one unit positive charge from here to here, what is the total work will be done? That all is V, right? So mathematically writing, that is dV from 0 to some V. This is the mathematical way of writing. So this is equal to integration of E dr. So dr changes from what to what? 0 to d. It changes, right? 0 to d E dr. So this is equal to E integration of dr 0 to d. That is simply equal to Ed, right? So V is equal to Ed, right? So if V is equal to Ed, and we know that E of the capacity E here is equal to sigma by epsilon naught, putting that sigma d by epsilon naught, right? And that is equal to, what is sigma? It is the charge density of the plate. So whatever is the charge of the plate divided by surface area of the plate. So for sigma we can write a Q by A. So it is Q d by A epsilon naught. Clear? So V is equal to QD by epsilon naught A. Let us make some drama. Let's make it equation 1. Okay. Now, this I am erasing just to make some space. From here I am writing, so implies that C is equal to what? Q divided by V, right? C is equal to Q by V, this we know, and in this V we can put what? V is equal to how much we got? Q divided by V, how much we got? QD by A epsilon naught, this much we got, and epsilon naught will go up, therefore epsilon naught A by D. So C is equal to epsilon naught A by D. Now from this we can conclude that capacitance of a parallel plate capacitor depends on two factors. C is directly proportional to A and C is inversely proportional to small d. That means C is directly proportional to the area, surface area of the plate of a capacitor, and it is inversely proportional to the gap or distance between the two parallel plates. That means how we can increase the capacity of a capacitor? How we can increase C of a capacitor? By increasing the A. By increasing the A, again the size of the capacitor will increase, right? So that's not a very good option, but mathematically yes, by increasing A also we can increase C, or if this small d is in the denominator, you see, so by decreasing the gap of the plates also capacity is increasing. So this is one good option, right? If we decrease the gap between the capacitors, capacitance is increasing. So by balancing these two, the capacitor, parallel plate capacitors can be designed where this A and D balance will be brought and desired capacitance can be produced. So parallel plate capacitor, the shape of a parallel plate capacitor is one good idea. Now how this is charged, before seeing that we can also think of this. Now let us say inside this, here you are seeing epsilon naught A. So we have assumed that the medium between the plates is always air or vacuum, free space. Epsilon naught is what, right? It is electrical permittivity of a free space. But if instead of a free space, if there is some medium in between the plates, let us say oil or kerosene or some dielectric is introduced inside this, then will there be any effect on the capacitance? Yes, because capacitance is equal to what? Capacitance depends on electric field intensity, yes or no? And electric field intensity is a force on a unit positive charge. Basically this is a force only. So if a force, from Coulomb's law you remember, force is equal to, or E is equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught Q by R square. Now 1 by 4 pi epsilon, if you write, that is better, because epsilon for any medium, and epsilon naught we wrote that was only for when the medium is air or a free space, right? So epsilon, this force is how much, that depends on the medium. So if the E depends on the medium, C also will depends on the medium. Now if that medium is changed, let us say a dielectric constant or dielectric slab of a dielectric constant K is introduced. A dielectric slab of a dielectric constant K is introduced. Dielectric constant K. Oil will be having some dielectric constant, kerosene will be having some dielectric constant, different media will be having different dielectric constants. If some dielectric slab or some medium is introduced with the dielectric constant K, then what will be the change in the capacitance in this? See, here it will be same only, and in that case the capacitance of the capacitor will be C is equal to K epsilon A divided by D. So from with the same thing, one K is multiplied, right? Clear? Now we will just devote some time to understand how this is charged. After charging this plus Q minus Q, what is the capacitance, that we have calculated already, but how is it charged? Now we will give some time to discuss about charging of a capacitor. Now the thing is, you might be getting rightly the doubt that I said that to whatever plate, whatever body I said, so to a plate also, if we'll give some charge, that will be having certain capacity only, and after that the charge will spill out to the environment. Then how the capacity of that will be increased? Now again come to the same analogy. Let us say we are having a bottle, okay, it's having some capacity. Let us say its capacity is 1 liter, okay. Now here if you pour water into this, it can accommodate only 1 liter of water. After that water will spill out, right? Now the thing is, here let us say you made a very small hole, okay, 1 liter is filled, then through that hole water if comes out gradually, after that sometime again it can accommodate a little more, isn't it, till here water is coming out, so this much empty space is created. Now more water can be added. Now after some time again little water will come up, more water can be added, so the capacity became more than 1 liter in a sense, yes or no? So that way only, so it is a kind of cheating you thought that. In that way only what we are doing it, now observe and compare this with that example, how it is the same we are doing. This is charged with one electric battery or cell, let us say. Now here the higher longer side represents the higher potential and the smaller and represents the lower potential. Represents the lower potential. Now this will give it a plus Q charge and this will give it a minus Q charge. Now this is charged with the plus Q charge, this is a minus Q charge. But here one side will be minus Q and one side by induction will be plus Q, right? This plus Q charge is there. However, this side will be connected to earth. This is the symbol for earth, earthing symbol. Earthing you heard, right? Every tall building, so there is some conductor and there is earthing, so that at times of lightning it will go to the earth through that. So like that, one plate, instead of saying this let us say the name of this plate is A, name of the plate is B. So B plate is earthed, okay. If it's earthed, all these charges are just flowing into earth. Earth can take a positive charge also, negative charge also. It's at 0. That's why we are saying the potential of earth is 0. We are assuming that the potential of earth is 0 because anything it can take. So the plus charge is flowing there. Then what happens? Whatever QQ was there, again the entire capacitor is neutralized, so more charge can be given to it. It is something happening like this because of this arrangement of earthing the earthing the plate B of the capacitor. Is it clear? Now we can define a parallel plate capacitor, or we can define a capacitor which is also called a condenser as an arrangement which provides larger capacity in a smaller space. Larger capacity in a smaller space. Why smaller space? That I have explained you. This directly proportional to A but inversely proportional to T. So using these properties we can design a capacitor which can be accommodated in a smaller space. So what we want capacitor or condenser is one arrangement which can provide a larger capacitance in a smaller space. On what principle it works? Whenever an earthed conductor is brought near a charged conductor, the capacitance increases considerably. Whenever an earthed capacitor, so the principle is whenever an earthed conductor is brought near a charged conductor, the capacitance increases considerably. This is the principle of designing a capacitor. So our next topic of discussion is we are going to calculate the capacitance when a dielectric slab of thickness, T is inserted between the parallel plates. Let us understand, we are having a capacitance, we are having a capacitor, means two parallel plates are there, and in between that, see, we have till now we have read three cases, right, or two cases. This is the third case. Two cases. What? In one case two parallel plates were there, and inside that there were free space was there, nothing was there, and in that case C is equal to epsilon naught A by D, where A is the surface area and D is the gap between the parallel plates, right? So epsilon naught A by D, this was the first case. Then we discussed another case where the entire medium was filled with some dielectric, let us say the dielectric constant was K. In that case C is equal to K epsilon naught A by D, right? Now we will consider a case where the dielectric slab of dielectric constant K and of thickness T is inserted between. That means the dielectric slab is inserted between the plates, but it is partially filled. That means the dielectric is not completely filling up the space between the plates. It is in between somewhere. Its dielectric constant is K, and what is given is the thickness of the dielectric constant is small t, let us say, and the gap between the plates are D only. And in this case, for this case, we are going to calculate the capacitance of the capacitor. Now you see, electric field intensity is a force. That's why it is getting definitely affected by some medium other than any medium to medium. It is differing. That's why between this, instead of again saying this and this, let us say this is plate A. Plate A is positively charged and plate B is negatively charged. Now that we know the electric field, whenever a medium is inserted in the medium, it will not same. The electric field here will not be same as the electric field here because of the effect of the medium. That's why let us assume that here it is E1. Here also it will be E1 only because it is the same medium only. Only inside the dielectric, let us say it's E2. Therefore, potential of the capacitor will be V is equal to ED, we had derived. So here it will be E1, and how much area is E1? See, this from here to here is a D, and you minus subtract T from that. Whatever remains there, E1 is prevalent, right? So E1 into D minus T plus E2 multiplied by T. Now, what is E1? Sigma by epsilon naught D minus T plus E2. What is the change? Sigma by K epsilon naught T. Am I right? So sigma is equal to what? Q by A. So Q by epsilon naught A D minus T plus for sigma Q by epsilon naught A Q by K epsilon naught A to T, since sigma is equal to Q by A, right? Q also is common, right? Q by epsilon naught A, if you take common, what is D minus T plus small t by K, right? Let's make some drama. Let's make this equation 1. But our intention is to find out the capacitance. But C is equal to Q by V, we know, right? Q by V. Now, in a V, we will put this value from equation 1. Q got cancelled, epsilon naught will go off. So C is equal to epsilon naught A divided by D minus T plus E by K. Is it clear to everybody? Now, you remember 3 cases we had taken. Case 1, I am erasing a little this just to make space. Case 1 was when there was free space between the plates of the capacitor. That time capacitance was equal to epsilon naught A by D, and when one dielectric was filled, the entire space between the two plates were filled with one dielectric of a dielectric constant K, then the capacitance was K epsilon naught A by D. And when a dielectric of a thickness T is inserted between the plates, so we have derived C is equal to epsilon naught A divided by D minus T plus T by K. Clear? Now we will be taking up a particular question where it asks similar question, exactly similar to this, only a little modification was there, where it asked, it might be some board question only, derive expression for the capacitance when a dielectric slab of dielectric constant K and thickness T is given. In that question it's given thickness D by 2, small d by 2, thickness D by 2 is inserted between the parallel plates. Only this much is the change in the question. Now thickness T is given to be D by 2. So what is the solution for this? All the derivations what we have done now we have to do. However, since we have done the derivation and came here, now what we'll do? Just substituting T is equal to D by 2 in this equation. What we get? C is equal to epsilon naught A divided by D minus, for small t we wrote D by 2 because T is equal to D by 2, this is given in the question, plus D by 2K. For this small t also we put a D by 2K. So this is equal to how much? Epsilon naught A divided by D minus D by 2 is D by 2 plus D by 2K. So take D by 2 common. So 1 plus 1 by K, right? Now if this 2 goes up, therefore capacitance is equal to 2 epsilon naught A divided by D into 1 plus 1 by K. This is the answer to the question. Clear to everybody? Energy stored in a capacitor. Now in a capacitor, why energy will be stored? Now that old example always we are taking, right? Let us say there is a table of a height h, and there is a duster lying here. Now if we have to lift this duster and put on the table surface, let us say, and this duster is having a mass of m. Now mg force is pulling it down, right? The earth is pulling this with a force equal to mg. Now against that force, so we have to raise it till height h. So force multiplied by the displacement, so mg h work we have to do. And when the work is stored, when we keep it already on the tabletop, we say that this is having a potential energy equal to mgh, right? So whenever against a force some work, whenever against a force some displacement is done, then work is done. Now that work done is called energy. Mathematically, numerically it is equal to the energy. Now how that is explainable in case of electricity? Now see, energy stored in a capacitor. So a capacitor was not having any charge initially, but the capacitor is charged to some potential, right? While doing the process of charging it, energy has to be, work has to be done. That work is stored in the capacitor in form of energy, and that energy stored we are going to calculate. Now where there is something against some force, if a displacement is done, then only work is done. So let us understand why work is done first. Now see, we are charging a capacitor, right? Initially there was no charge, but after some time this is a little positive charge, this is a little negative charge. When we are giving some charge again, let us say plus dq charge, you are sending it plus dq plus dq plus dq, like in some gradually it this plate will be completely charged, right? So when this charge goes near this is positively charged and it will push it away. So against that you are moving. Think that way. Against the plus, this plus plate is pushing it. However, during charging we have to push it against that to reach here, right? So all the time till the charging, till the process of the charging of the capacitor is complete, all the time dq plus dq are pushed against something which is being pushed by the plate. However, it has to go to the plate only. So some work is done. How much work is done, that work we are going to calculate. Okay. Now we know that W is equal to VQ. This formula you know. Let us say at the end of the charging, At the beginning of the process of charging, here zero charge was there, but at the end this is plus Q and this plate is minus Q charged. So W is equal to VQ. So what we can say is, if we are thinking of a small dq charge is passed here, for that what work will be done? dW is equal to V dq. Can we write it? Now from the formula C is equal to Q by V, this is our formula for capacitance, right? So V is equal to what? V is equal to Q by C, right? Now this Q is anything, that's why we are taking, let us take it a small q only. So V is equal to Q by C, that Q can be anything. At minimum that will be 0 and at maximum that will be plus Q. So at the final end of the process, the total charge was plus Q. That's why small q, in this case maximum small q is a plus Q, and minimum, when Q is minimum, that is 0 we will say. So we are considering this Q as a variable. Implies that what we can write? dW implies that dW is equal to V dq, V equal to Q by C. So Q by C dq implies that what is the total work done? This is the integration of a dW from 0 to W. This is 0 to W. This is the mathematical way of expressing it. 0 to some W, that we are going to calculate. So that is equal to, what is dW? Q by C dq. Now here what is the variable? Q is changing, right? Charge is changing. We are giving more and more charge. So what are the limits? From 0 to capital Q. From 0, finally when the process is end, we have sent totally capital Q charge, right? The final charge is capital Q, initial charge is 0. So 0 to Q, you wrote Q by C dq. So this is equal to how much? C is constant capacitance. Take it out. 1 by C, took it out. So Q dq 0 to capital Q. So what is Q dq? Isn't it Q square by 2? So by 2 is a constant. You take out 1 by 2C Q square within the limits 0 to capital Q. So that implies that W is equal to 1 by 2C. This for at the place of small q, you put capital Q and 0. So Q square 1 by 2C Q square. So Q square by 2C is the work done, and this can be expressed in various ways. Like, what is Q from this? C is equal to, in general we are saying C is equal to Q by V, we are saying, right? So Q square is equal to C square V square. Now if we will put a Q square, instead of a Q square we will put a C square V square. Now V is the total developed potential at the end of the process of a charging. If V is the potential of it and C is the capacitance of the capacitor, then we are talking Q square will be C square V square. So if we put a C square V square by 2C, isn't it is equal to half, 1C got cancelled with 1C, half CV square. So is equal to, also what we can write, half CV square. Now CV is equal to Q, of this 1 CV is equal to Q, so we can also write half Q multiplied by V. Why these various forms? See, of the charge Q, V and C, in some numerical we may be knowing QV and not C. In that case we will apply the energy stored is equal to half QV, this formula will apply. If only CV are known, then we will apply the energy stored is equal to half CV square, and this is Q square by 2C. If only Q and C are known, we can put this way. So if we will write it somewhere, energy stored in a capacitor. Now this work done, the total work done while charging the capacitor only is the energy stored in the capacitor, right? Is equal to either half Q square by C, this thing, or half CV square, this thing, and also that can be written as half Q multiplied by V. This is the energy stored in the capacitor. Now, if a QC are known, we will put E is equal to half Q square C. If CV are known, we will put E equal to half CV square. If QV are known, we can put easily half QV, right? Now, if we can take potential along y-axis, potential V along y-axis and charge Q along x-axis, how will be the graphical representation? Now see, if a charge, more charge is given, V is increasing. If zero charge, V is zero. So this must pass through the 0 point. And since C is, since these two are directly proportional to each other, Q is directly proportional to V, then this must be a straight line, and also it must be passing through the origin. So this graph should be like this, right? Now see, let us say if the graph is like this from Q1 to Q2, then what this area gives, see, if you will see the total rectangle, it will be Q multiplied by V. Half of that is this, half of QV, and a half of QV is equal to what? Isn't it energy stored? So from the graphical representation, from potential charge graph, the area of the triangle under the graph with x-axis gives the energy stored in the capacitor. Is it clear?